Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options to Play video update. First off, want to thank all of you guys that stuck around for our option session last night. As always, just great to be able to catch up with you guys, talk trading, talk shop, talk options. Just kind of just break down what we're seeing, what's working, what's not, and last night in particular, we spent some time going over options on new issues on IPOs. So kind of like relevant just because there's so many big IPOs out right now and some really crazy action. So if you weren't able to catch the live session last night, be sure to check that out. It's up on T3's website, so follow up for that. All right. So what I want to talk about today, just something that's so, it's a pattern that I focus on quite a bit. Obviously, I've written up some of these ideas, and when I talk about like these, what I call these quick developing bull flags, so quick developing bull patterns. And really, a lot of times these kind of arise out of some sort of catalyst. So for both Roku and Cisco, which I'll get to in a second, both followed after earnings. Okay, so you get a catalyst or an earnings report, and then you get a strong pop, right? And sometimes you're involved with it for the earnings, sometimes you're not involved with it for the earnings, and these trades are ones that kind of develop after. So even if you weren't in for the catalyst, definitely something to keep on your radar for maybe after the catalyst, after like a few days action, these things start to set up. They're very very fast developing. That's why I say the quick developing patterns. Um, so what I'm looking for, it's not necessarily it's almost more about time. Okay, and what I mean by that is a lot of what it revolves around is the 8 EMA. So for instance, Roku, right, has a really nice little pennant forming here, right? It has a nice little pennant bull flag above 80. It's held in very, very well. And what I typically watch is for this 8 EMA, right? Like this to me is what makes the pattern interesting, and also what makes me feel like it's closer to triggering, right? So for the past week and a half, Roku's been digesting this big earnings pop, right? Which put it through the top of previous resistance. So, that in of itself is nice. Been digesting the move, consolidating above 80. And the reason why I feel like it could be ready to go now is because of this 8 EMA. So this is like the fast moving, the fast moving exponential moving average, right? That's now caught up underneath, and it could really be like that final piece that pushes it up through like the top of this pattern, right? Because you could see the ADMA was pretty significant for some portions of April and May. And also, like last time it reported, right, in February, you could see it was riding this 8 EMA up. So again, it's like it's the first moving average to catch up underneath a stock that's in a tight little setup, and then you get like this rising moving average pressure, right? So you get the moving average comes up, right? You get the rising support pressure that really starts to force it up into the top of the pennant or the flag, and then a lot of times you can see like that's what sets up the breakout and the next leg up. So setups like these, they tend to develop fast, and when they trigger, they should move fast. So you want to see quick continuation out of these types of setups. So options, like a month out, probably don't have to go much past like 2 months. I mean, realistically, like this type of setup, once it triggers, it should go. Because if it rolls over and chops around and then breaks below the 8 EMA, the chances of it working start to diminish a little bit. So this is a quick pattern, and what I like to do oftentimes is look at shorter term options. So like several weeks to maybe 2 months at the max for this type of setup. All right, and so like Cisco, so Roku is obviously that 8 EMA is just catching up now, looking close to triggering. Cisco probably going to need a little bit more time. right? So kind of similar. Cisco didn't bust through the top of the April high, right? But it did have this really nice gap starting to tighten up, right? And now you can see that the 8 EMA is starting to ascend, right? It's starting to creep up underneath, and maybe like another couple days. So like right now, what you're watching, you're kind of just watching and waiting, right, for Cisco. And it's held in well, and it's starting to digest like this big move, resetting above the trend. And now what you really want to wait for is for this 8 EMA to enter the picture, right? And like that could be the final piece of the puzzle that pushes it through the top of the flag. In this case, could push it through the top of previous 2019 resistance, right, which is up around like 57.50. And this too should be a pattern once it triggers that you're looking for a quicker, shorter term move. So, options several weeks, probably 2 months at the max. Because once these trigger, you really want to see follow through fast, because otherwise, that 8 EMA is going to lose some of its importance, right? If it starts to chop around it and break below it, then that fast moving 8 EMA is not going to be as significant as it once was. All right. So yeah, so you can there's still plenty going on, right? And as you can see, even names, if you missed some of these, there's setups still developing. The markets, we're getting like triple digit 1% moves each day. So still volatility is a little bit higher. It's a little bit more choppy at the same time, but volatility is still a little bit elevated. We'll see how the rest of the week plays out. Still some big names set to report. Just this week, next week. So, even though we are getting into like the summer trading, there are still a handful of bigger names yet to report, and still plenty to look forward to. So keep an eye out for a bunch of new trade ideas. Got a few things circled just for this week. We're talking about Target tomorrow, Splunk later in the week. We went over those on the during our option session last night. So definitely some interesting names coming up. All right. So, questions or comments, as always, love to hear from you. Reach out. Have a fantastic night, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.